Captain Lee Hyun stood at the window of the transport ship and watched the alien world grow larger below them. Valtos Prime looked like a giant red ball covered in strange silver cities. He had seen many alien planets in his 20 years as Earth's diplomat, but this one made him feel uneasy. "Papa, look at those funny buildings." His 8-year-old daughter Nari pressed her small face against the window next to him. Her breath made little clouds on the glass as she pointed at the tall, twisted towers of the Valerian cities. "They do look different from Earth buildings, don't they?" Hyun smiled and put his hand on her shoulder. Nari had begged to come on this trip, and his wife Soo-jin had finally agreed. "It will be good for her to see other worlds," Soo-jin had said. "She needs to understand that we share the galaxy with many different people." Dr. Park Soo-jin walked up behind them, carrying her research pad. She was Earth's best expert on alien biology and had been studying the Valerians for months. "The ship captain says we'll land in 1 hour," she told her husband. "Are you ready for this meeting?" Hyun nodded, but he still felt worried. The Valerians had agreed to this meeting, but they had not been friendly in their messages. They were a proud warrior race who looked like giant lizards and ruled over dozens of planets. Most aliens in the galaxy feared them, and the Valerians seemed to think humans were weak and stupid. "Remember what Ambassador Yoon said," Soo-jin whispered. "Stay calm no matter what they say. We need those mining rights in the Kepler sector." Earth needed the rare metals found in the Kepler sector to build better spaceships and computers. The Valerians controlled that area of space, so Earth had to ask their permission to mine there. It was not easy for humans to ask for anything from aliens who looked down on them, but it was necessary. Ambassador Yoon Jae-ho joined them at the window. He was an older man with gray hair who had spent his whole life trying to make peace between different species. "The Valerians have agreed to house us in their government building," he said. "We'll stay there for 3 days while we negotiate." "Will there be other human children there?" Nari asked, tugging on the ambassador's coat. Yoon smiled sadly. "No, little one. You're the only human child on this planet, but don't worry. I'll take care of you." The ship landed with a loud thump on a metal platform surrounded by Valerian guards. Through the window, Hyun could see the aliens clearly for the first time. They were much taller than humans, with green, scaly skin and yellow eyes. They carried large energy weapons and wore dark armor that made them look even more frightening. When the humans stepped off their ship, the Valerian guards did not greet them. They just stared with their cold yellow eyes and pointed toward a waiting vehicle. The air on Valtos Prime was thick and hot, and it smelled like metal and chemicals. Admiral Krix Vorthak was waiting for them in the government building. He was the largest Valerian Hyun had ever seen, with darker scales and scars across his face. When he spoke, his voice sounded like rocks grinding together. "So, these are the famous humans," Vorthak said, looking down at them. "You are smaller than I expected, and you brought a hatchling to our world?" He stared at Nari with disgust. "This is my daughter," Hyun said, trying to keep his voice steady. "She wanted to learn about other cultures." Vorthak made a sound that might have been laughter. "Cultures? We are not here to play games with younglings. We have serious business to discuss." Ambassador Yoon stepped forward. "Of course, Admiral. We appreciate your time and look forward to working together for the benefit of both our peoples." "Benefit?" Vorthak's eyes narrowed. "You want our resources, we want nothing from you. The only question is whether we will allow you to take what you need." The Valerians showed the humans to their rooms in the government building. The rooms were large but cold, with no decorations or comfortable furniture. Everything was made of metal and stone, designed for beings much larger than humans. That evening, there was a formal dinner in the Great Hall. Hundreds of Valerians sat at long tables eating strange alien food and drinking from large cups. The humans sat at a small table in the corner, feeling very out of place. Nari tried to eat the alien food, but it tasted terrible to her. "Papa, can I have some Earth food?" she whispered. Hyun gave her some crackers from their travel supplies. "Just eat what you can," he told her quietly. During the dinner, Admiral Vorthak made a speech about Valerian strength and superiority. He talked about their great military victories and their control over weaker species. Several times he looked directly at the humans and smiled in a way that was not friendly. Some species believe they deserve equal treatment in the galaxy, Vorthak said. But nature teaches us that the strong rule over the weak. This is the natural order, and it cannot be changed. Ambassador Yoon tried to respond with his own speech about cooperation and mutual respect, but the Valerians barely listened. They were too busy drinking and laughing loudly among themselves. After dinner, Nari was tired and bored. "Can I go explore?" she asked her parents. "I want to see more of this place." "Absolutely not," Sujin said firmly. "You stay with us at all times. This isn't Earth, and we don't know what dangers might be here." But Nari was a curious child, and the strange alien building fascinated her. When her parents were busy talking with Ambassador Yoon about the next day's negotiations, she quietly slipped away from their room. Her little digital pet, a glowing butterfly that followed her everywhere, danced in front of her as she walked down the metal corridors. The building was like a maze with passages going in all directions. Nari followed her digital butterfly as it flew toward an area with flashing lights. She didn't know she was walking toward the military section of the building, where the Valerians kept their most secret weapons and plans. Meanwhile, Captain Hyun realized his daughter was missing. "Nari!" he called out, searching their rooms frantically. "Sujin, I can't find her." Dr. Park dropped her research pad and ran to help look for their daughter. Ambassador Yoon called for the Valerian guards to help search the building. Nari had found her way to a room full of strange, glowing machines. Her digital butterfly was flying around in circles, its light reflecting off the metal surfaces. She reached out to touch one of the machines, not understanding that it was a weapon system. "Intruder! Intruder!" An alarm started blaring throughout the building. Valerian guards came running from all directions. When they saw the small human child standing among their secret military equipment, they did not hesitate. Their training said that any unauthorized person in that room was a spy who must be eliminated immediately. "Wait!" Nari called out, frightened by the large alien surrounding her. "I was just following my butterfly. I didn't mean to." The guards raised their plasma weapons. In Valerian military doctrine, there were no exceptions to security protocols. Age and species did not matter. The rules were absolute. Captain Hyun came running down the corridor just as the weapons fired. He saw the bright flash of energy and heard his daughter's scream cut short. When he reached the room, Nari was lying on the metal floor, her small body burned by the alien weapons. Her digital butterfly flickered and died beside her. "No." Hyun fell to his knees and gathered his daughter's lifeless body in his arms. "Nari! Nari, wake up!" Dr. Park arrived seconds later and let out a scream that echoed through the entire building. She collapsed beside her husband and daughter, sobbing uncontrollably. Admiral Vorthak appeared in the doorway, looking at the scene without emotion. "The security protocols were followed correctly," he announced. "The intruder was eliminated as required by law." "She was just a child," Hyun shouted through his tears. "She was 8 years old. She didn't understand." "Age is irrelevant," Vorthak replied coldly. "She entered a restricted area. The penalty is death. This is how we maintain order." Ambassador Yoon tried to control his own anger and grief. Surely there must be some compensation, some acknowledgement that this was a tragic mistake. "There was no mistake," Vorthak cut him off. "Your species should teach your young to obey rules. This incident will be reported as proper enforcement of security measures." That night, as the humans prepared Nari's body for the journey back to Earth, Captain Hyun held his wife as she cried. The pain in his chest felt like it might kill him too. But underneath the grief, something else was growing, something dark and burning that he had never felt before. "They killed our baby," Sujin whispered. "They killed her and called it proper procedure." Hyun looked out the window at the alien city lights. "They're going to learn," he said quietly, "that killing a human child is the biggest mistake they could ever make." The diplomatic mission was over before it had really begun. The humans would return to Earth with their daughter's body and a message that would change everything. The galaxy was about to discover what happened when you made humanity angry. The news of Nari's death reached Earth 3 days after the diplomatic team returned home. Captain Lee Hyun stood before the Global Council with his wife beside him, both of them dressed in black. Behind them on the giant screen was a video, recording of their daughter's final moments, taken from a security camera in the Valerian military complex. President Kim Tae-young watched the recording with growing horror. He had been Earth's leader for 5 years and had always believed in peaceful solutions to problems. But as he watched the 8-year-old girl reach out to touch the strange machine before the alien guards shot her down, something changed inside him. "They executed a child," Dr. Park Soo-jin said, her voice shaking with grief and rage. "They killed my baby for being curious. And their admiral said it was proper procedure." The council chambers were completely silent. Representatives from every nation on Earth stared at the screen, many of them wiping tears from their eyes. Several of the women council members were openly crying. General Choi Min-ho, the head of Earth's military forces, stood up slowly. He was a tough man who had fought in Earth's colonial wars, but his hands were shaking as he spoke. "In 30 years of military service, I have never seen anything so cruel and senseless. This is not war. This is murder." Captain Hyun stepped forward to address the council. His voice was quiet, but filled with pain. "My daughter wanted to see the galaxy. She wanted to learn about other cultures and make friends with alien children. Instead, she was killed like an animal for touching a machine she didn't understand." The video played again, and this time every person in the chamber could see little Nari's face clearly as the weapons fired. Her expression was not fear, but confusion, as if she couldn't understand why these big aliens were pointing weapons at her. "What do the Valerians say about this?" asked Representative Chen from the Asian Federation. Ambassador Yoon Jae-ho, who had returned from the mission a broken man, spoke with difficulty. "Admiral Vorthak refuses to apologize. He says Nari violated their security protocols and received appropriate punishment. The Valerian Emperor will not even meet with our representatives." President Kim felt anger building in his chest like a fire. "They think we're weak," he said. "They think because we prefer diplomacy to war, we won't fight, back when they murder our children." Dr. Bae Yoon-ji, Earth's top weapons researcher, raised her hand. She was a brilliant scientist who had always worked on defensive technologies, but her face was hard with determination. "Mr. President, I request permission to begin development of new military systems. If the galaxy wants to see what humans can do when pushed too far, we should show them." "What kind of military systems?" the president asked. "I've been studying quantum field manipulation for years," Dr. Bae replied. "I believe human brain patterns might be able to control quantum-based weapons in ways no alien species can. Our emotional responses could become our greatest strength instead of what they see as our weakness." General Choi nodded grimly. "Our current military is designed for defense and peacekeeping. If we're going to war against a galactic empire, we need something completely different." Captain Hyun looked around the chamber at all the faces staring back at him. "I request permission to resign from the diplomatic service and join the military. I want to be part of whatever we do to make them pay for this." "Hyun," President Kim said gently, "you don't have military training. You're our best diplomat." "Diplomacy failed," Hyun replied. "They killed my child and laughed about it. I don't want to talk to them anymore. I want to fight them." Dr. Park stood beside her husband. "I want to help too. My expertise in alien biology could be useful for military planning. I know how they think, how they operate, and I want them to suffer for what they did." The president looked at the two grieving parents and felt his own resolve harden. "Very well. General Choi, begin immediate military expansion. Dr. Bae, start. Your quantum weapons research, I'm declaring a state of emergency." "What about the galactic community?" asked Representative Johnson from North America. "They'll try to stop us from going to war." President Kim's voice was cold. "The galactic community stood by and did nothing while aliens murdered a human child. They can stand by and do nothing while we respond." Over the following weeks, news of Nari's death spread across Earth through every media channel. The security footage was broadcast repeatedly, And each time millions of humans watched it, their anger grew stronger. Protests began in every major city, with crowds demanding immediate military action against the Valerian Empire. Captain Oh-Jin Woo, who was Captain Hyun's brother-in-law and a Special Forces veteran, volunteered to help train new recruits. "I've fought in colonial conflicts," he told General Choi. "But this is different. Every soldier I talk to has seen that video. They're not just angry, they're furious in a way I've never seen before." Dr. Bay's quantum weapons research moved faster than anyone expected. Working with Dr. Han Woo-seok, a quantum physics expert, she discovered that human emotional states could indeed interface with quantum field generators. When test subjects thought about Nari's death while operating the experimental weapons, the power output increased dramatically. "It's as if human anger can actually fuel the quantum reactions," Dr. Han explained to the research team. "The stronger the emotional response, the more powerful the weapon becomes." Meanwhile, Earth's factories began converting from civilian production to military manufacturing. Car companies started building spacecraft engines. Electronics firms began producing advanced targeting systems. The entire planet was transforming itself into a war machine. President Kim received messages from various alien species begging Earth to reconsider military action. The Centaurian Alliance offered to mediate between humans and Valerians. The Andromedan Trade Federation warned that war would disrupt galactic commerce. His response was always the same: "Tell the Valerians to apologize for murdering Nari Lee and provide compensation to her family. Until then, Earth considers itself at war with their empire." The Valerians' response came through their official diplomatic channels. Admiral Vorthak sent a message saying, "The death of the human hatchling was justified under proper security protocols. We do not apologize for following our laws. If humans wish to challenge the Valerian Empire, they will learn why weaker species submit to our rule." When President Kim read this message to the Global Council, the anger in the chamber was so intense it was almost physical. Every representative voted unanimously to authorize total war against the Valerian Empire. Dr. Park threw herself into studying Valerian psychology and military tactics. "They see cruelty as strength," she explained to the Military Planning Committee. "They believe fear is the only way to control others. They literally cannot understand why we're so upset about one child's death." "Then we'll teach them," General Choi replied. "We'll show them what real strength looks like." Captain Hyun completed his military training faster than any recruit in Earth's history. His instructors said his motivation was unlike anything they had ever seen. When he practiced with the new quantum-enhanced weapons, thinking about his daughter's murder made him incredibly accurate and deadly. "The weapons respond to his emotional state," reported Colonel Lim Da-yoon, who was developing Earth's new special forces units. "When he's focused on avenging Nari, he becomes almost superhuman in combat effectiveness." Similar results were showing up across all of Earth's military programs. Human soldiers powered by grief and rage were exceeding every performance expectation. The quantum technology seemed designed for human emotional responses. 6 months after Nari's death, Earth's first quantum-enhanced warships were ready for testing. The ships were unlike anything ever built, sleek, deadly, and powered by the focused anger of their human crews. President Kim stood on the bridge of the first warship, named the Nari's Vengeance, and looked out at Earth's new fleet. Dozens of similar ships floated in space around them, each one crewed by humans who had watched the video of a little girl being murdered for curiosity. "Admiral Park," he said to the newly promoted fleet commander, "are we ready?" Admiral Park, Sejun, formerly a cargo ship captain, nodded grimly. "Every crew member has volunteered for this mission. Every one of them has seen what the Valerians did to that child. We're not just ready, Mr. President. We're eager." Through the viewports, Earth looked peaceful and blue below them, but the planet was no longer the same world it had been 6 months ago. The murder of one small girl had awakened something in humanity that had been sleeping for thousands of years. "Then let's go teach the galaxy what happens when you kill a human child," President Kim said. The first ships of Earth's war fleet began moving toward Valerian space, carrying with them the focused fury of an entire species. Behind them, Earth's factories worked around the clock to build more ships, more weapons, and more ways to make the aliens pay for their fatal mistake. The age of human diplomacy was over. The age of human vengeance had begun. 18 months after Nari's death, Earth had become a world that no one would recognize. Every city hummed with the sound of weapons factories working day and night. Every school now taught military strategy alongside mathematics. Every family had at least one member serving in the rapidly growing Earth Defense Forces. Commander Shin Ye-jin sat in the cockpit of her quantum-enhanced fighter, preparing for the most important test in human military history. The ship around her was small but deadly, its weapon systems directly connected to her brain through quantum neural interfaces. When she felt angry or protective, the ship became faster and more powerful. "Remember, Commander," Dr. Bay's voice came through the communication system. "This isn't just a test of the technology. We need to see how far human emotional enhancement can push these systems." Shin closed her eyes and thought about the video everyone had seen. Little Nari reaching out to touch the alien machine, then falling as the energy weapons fired. The image that had changed humanity forever. As the anger built in her chest, she could feel the ship's weapons charging to levels that should have been impossible. "Quantum resonance at 300% normal capacity," reported Dr. Han from the monitoring station. "Her emotional state is amplifying the power output beyond our calculations." The test began with Shin facing 3 automated enemy ships, designed to match Valerian technology. Under normal circumstances, 1 human fighter against 3 alien ships would be hopeless. But these weren't normal circumstances anymore. As Shin engaged the enemy ships, her fury about Nari's murder flowed through the quantum systems. Her weapons fired with incredible accuracy, her ship moved with impossible speed, and her shields absorbed damage that should have destroyed her. Within minutes, all 3 enemy ships were nothing but floating debris. "Incredible," whispered Dr. Han. She just destroyed targets that were individually more powerful than her ship. The quantum enhancement doesn't just improve performance, it multiplies it. Admiral Park Si-jun watched the test results with satisfaction. Over the past year, he had gone from commanding cargo ships to leading Earth's most advanced military fleet. The transformation had been difficult, but the memory of that murdered child drove him forward every day. "How many pilots can we train with this system?" he asked Dr. Bay. "The quantum neural interfaces work best with humans who have strong emotional connections to our cause," she replied. "Anyone who truly understands what the Valerians did to that little girl becomes incredibly effective." Colonel Lim Da-yoon had spent months developing the quantum core, Earth's new elite ground forces. Unlike the pilots who flew ships, these soldiers fought on alien worlds with quantum-enhanced armor and weapons. Their motto was simple: "For every child they take, we take a world." "The enhancement works differently for ground combat," she explained to the military leadership. "When our soldiers are fighting to protect others, especially civilians, their combat effectiveness increases exponentially. It's as if human protective instincts can power the quantum systems directly." President Kim, now calling himself War Leader Kim, after Earth's government had reorganized for total military focus, reviewed the latest reports. Every piece of news was encouraging. Human soldiers were training faster, fighting harder, and showing capabilities that amazed their instructors. "Dr. Park," he said to Soo-jin, who had become Earth's expert on alien psychology, "what do our intelligence sources tell us about Valerian reactions to our military buildup?" Dr. Park's face was harder than it had been before her daughter's death. The grief had changed her from a peaceful scientist into someone who studied aliens to find their weaknesses. "They're not taking us seriously," she reported. "Admiral Vorthak has told other Valerian commanders that humans are making noise but pose no real threat." "Good," War Leader Kim replied. "Let them underestimate us. It will make their defeat more complete." The first real test came when a Valerian patrol squadron attacked one of Earth's mining colonies in the Kepler system. The attack was meant to punish humans for their aggressive behavior and show them what happened to species that challenged Valerian authority. The colony on Kepler-7 had 3,000 people, including many families with children. The Valerians destroyed the defensive platforms first, then began systematically killing the colonists. They broadcast the massacre throughout human space, expecting it to terrify Earth into submission. Instead, it had the opposite effect. "They killed our children again," Commander Shin said as she prepared her squadron for the counterattack. "They murdered families and thought it would make us afraid." Her fighter squadron consisted of 12 quantum-enhanced ships, each one piloted by a human who had seen too many dead children in the colony broadcasts. As they approached the Valerian fleet, their quantum weapons were charging to power levels that made the scientists back on Earth gasp in amazement. "Quantum resonance at 400% capacity across all ships," Dr. Han reported from the monitoring station. "Their emotional responses are creating a feedback loop that's amplifying the enhancement effect." The battle was over in less than an hour. 12 human fighters destroyed a Valerian patrol fleet of 36 ships without losing a single pilot. The alien ships, designed to intimidate weaker species through superior firepower, were completely outmatched by humans, fighting with quantum-enhanced fury. Commander Shin's ship alone destroyed 8 enemy vessels, her weapons firing with inhuman accuracy while her ship moved in patterns that should have been impossible. When the last Valerian ship exploded, she felt a cold satisfaction that worried and pleased her at the same time. "Target eliminated," she reported calmly, proceeding to search for survivors. There were no Valerian survivors. The human attack had been too complete, too overwhelming. Every alien ship had been reduced to scattered debris floating in space. News of the victory spread across Earth within hours. For the first time since Nari's death, humans had struck back against their daughter's murderers and won completely. The celebrations lasted for days, but they were not celebrations of peace. They were celebrations of successful vengeance. Major Kim So-young had been training with the Quantum Core ground forces when the colony massacre happened. Like everyone else, she watched the broadcasts of families being murdered by Valerian soldiers. Unlike most people, she was preparing to do something about it. "The enhancement effect is strongest when we're fighting to protect innocent people," she told her soldiers. "Every time you see a dead human child in those broadcasts, remember that feeling. That's what powers our weapons and armor." Her unit was selected for the first ground assault on a Valerian military base. The mission was designed to test how effective quantum-enhanced human soldiers could be against alien fortifications. The Valerian base on asteroid TK-447 was supposed to be impregnable. It had energy shields, automated defense systems, and a garrison of 300 elite Valerian warriors. Military experts from other alien species had declared it impossible to attack. They hadn't counted on humans fighting with quantum-enhanced rage. Major Kim's unit consisted of only 50 soldiers, but each one was equipped with quantum-powered armor and weapons. More importantly, each one had spent months watching videos of murdered human children and focusing their anger into deadly determination. The assault began with the humans landing directly on the asteroid's surface, ignoring the defensive fire that should have killed them all. Their quantum shields absorbed damage while their enhanced strength let them move faster and hit harder than any alien species could match. "Remember why we're here," Major Kim told her soldiers as they breached the outer defenses. "Remember Nari. Remember the families on Kepler-7. Make them pay." The battle inside the base was not a battle. It was a slaughter. Human soldiers moved through the corridors like unstoppable forces of nature, their weapons tearing through Valerian defenses as if they were made of paper. The aliens, accustomed to intimidating weaker species, had never faced enemies who fought with such focused fury. Within 6 hours, the entire base was under human control. The 300 Valerian defenders had been reduced to less than 50 survivors, all of them wounded and in shock. "This is impossible," one captured Valerian officer kept repeating. "Humans are weak. Humans are inferior. This cannot be happening." Major Kim stood over the alien prisoner, her quantum-enhanced armor still glowing with residual energy. "We were peaceful," she said coldly. "We wanted to talk and trade and explore together. Then you murdered our children. Now you get to learn what we're really capable of." Back on Earth, Dr. Bay and her research team were analyzing the combat data with amazement. The quantum enhancement effect was proving stronger and more reliable than their wildest predictions. Human emotional responses aren't just powering the technology, Dr. Han explained to the War Council. They're evolving it. Every battle makes the systems more effective, as if the quantum fields are learning from human psychology. War leader Kim studied the reports and felt a satisfaction he hadn't known was possible. How long until we can begin the main assault on Valerian territory? Admiral Park checked his fleet readiness reports. Our shipyards are producing quantum-enhanced vessels faster than we ever imagined possible. Every worker is motivated by the same thing, the memory of that murdered child. Fleet Admiral Ryu Seong-min stood on the bridge of the massive dreadnought Earth's Fury and watched the Valerian homeworld grow larger on the main screen. 2 years after Little Nari's murder, humanity's war fleet had finally reached Valtos Prime, the heart of the alien empire that had killed a human child and called it proper procedure. Fleet status report, he ordered. Captain Song Hyun-woo, commander of the dreadnought Vengeance, responded through the communication system. 200 quantum-enhanced warships ready for assault, Admiral. All crews are at maximum quantum. Resonance levels. Admiral Ryu nodded. Every ship in the human fleet was powered by the same thing, the memory of an 8-year-old girl reaching out to touch an alien machine before being shot down like an animal. That memory had transformed humanity from a peaceful species into the most dangerous military force the galaxy had ever seen. Dr. Lee, what are our quantum enhancement readings? He asked. Dr. Lee Chang-ho, the fleet's tactical quantum researcher, checked his instruments with amazement. Sir, the entire fleet is operating at 450% normal capacity. The crew's emotional state is creating quantum resonance levels we've never seen before. On the planet below, the Valerians were preparing their defenses. Admiral Krix Vorthak, the alien who had ordered Nari's execution, commanded a fleet of over 500 ships and thought the humans were insane to attack such a superior force. Let them come, he told his subordinates. We will destroy their pathetic fleet and then finish conquering their homeworld. They will learn why inferior species submit to Valerian rule. The battle began when the human fleet entered orbit around Valtos Prime. The Valerian ships moved to intercept them, confident in their numerical advantage and superior technology. They had defeated dozens of alien species over the centuries and expected this to be another easy victory. They were wrong. Captain Song's dreadnought fired the first shot, its quantum-enhanced weapons cutting through a Valerian battleship's shields as if they didn't exist. The alien ship exploded in a ball of fire that could be seen from the planet's surface. Remember, Nari, Captain Song shouted over the fleet communication system. Remember what they did to our child. The battle cry was picked up by every human ship in the fleet. As their anger and determination grew stronger, their quantum weapons became more and more powerful. Valerian ships that should have been able to withstand hours of bombardment were being destroyed with single shots. Commander Park Min-jun, leading a squadron of fighters, dove through the Valerian formation like a shark through a school of fish. His 12 ships destroyed 30 alien vessels in the first 10 minutes of combat, their pilots fighting with a fury that made their weapons incredibly deadly. This is impossible, Admiral Vorthak screamed as he watched his fleet being torn apart. Humans are weak. How are they doing this? His science officer, trembling with fear, tried to explain. Sir, their weapons are somehow becoming more powerful during combat. It's as if their emotional responses are directly affecting their technology. Vorthak couldn't understand what he was hearing. In Valerian culture, emotions were seen as weaknesses, to be suppressed. The idea that anger could make weapons stronger was completely alien to them. The space battle lasted only 4 hours. When it ended, the Valerian fleet was completely destroyed while the humans had lost only 6 ships. The debris from hundreds of alien vessels formed a metal ring around the planet. Admiral Ryu opened a communication channel to the planet's surface. This is Fleet Admiral Ryu of Earth's military forces. We demand the immediate surrender of Admiral Krix Vorthak and all Valerian military commanders responsible for the murder of Nari Lee. The response came from the planet's government complex. We do not surrender to inferior species. If you want our world, come and take it. Very well, Admiral Ryu replied. Major Kim, begin ground assault operations. Major Kim, so young, had been waiting for this moment for 2 years. Her Quantum Corps soldiers had trained for urban combat on alien worlds, and every one of them had memorized the security footage of Nari's death. They were not just soldiers anymore. They were instruments of vengeance. The human assault ships descended through the planet's atmosphere like falling meteors. Valerian ground defenses opened fire, but the quantum-enhanced human shields absorbed the energy weapons without damage. The aliens watched in horror as their most powerful planetary defenses proved completely useless. Major Kim's unit landed directly in front of the government complex where Nari had died. As her soldiers emerged from their assault ships, their quantum armor glowing with power, she gave them their final orders. "This is where they killed her," she said, pointing at the building. "This is where an 8-year-old human girl died because she was curious about alien technology. Make them pay for every tear her parents shed." The assault on the government complex was brutal and swift. Valerian soldiers, armed with the same weapons that had killed Nari, found themselves completely outmatched by humans fighting with quantum-enhanced fury. Their energy weapons barely scratched human armor, while human weapons tore through Valerian defenses like tissue paper. Captain Nam Dong-hyun led his unit through the same corridors where Nari had wandered 2 years ago, following her digital butterfly toward the restricted military zone. Now those corridors were filled with human soldiers seeking justice for her murder. "This is the room," one of his soldiers reported. "This is where it happened." Captain Nam looked at the metal chamber with its strange alien machines and felt his anger reach new levels. Through his quantum armor's neural interface, that rage translated into increased strength and speed. He moved through the room like a force of nature, destroying every piece of equipment with his bare hands. Meanwhile, Admiral Vorthak was barricaded in his command center with his remaining officers, watching security monitors as human soldiers swept through his fortress. The aliens who had seemed so powerful and intimidating were now cowering in fear. "How did weak humans become so strong?" Vorthak demanded. "This violates everything we know about inferior species." His tactical advisor was studying the combat data with growing panic. "Sir, their soldiers are moving faster and hitting harder than should be physically possible. It's as if they're drawing power from some unknown source." What the Valerians didn't understand was that humans were drawing power from their grief and rage over a murdered child. Every image of Nari's death made them stronger. Every memory of her curiosity and innocence fueled their quantum-enhanced abilities. The human soldiers reached Vorthak's command center within 6 hours. The admiral who had casually ordered a child's execution now found himself facing Major Kim and her elite troops, their armor still glowing with quantum energy. "Admiral Krix Vorthak," Major Kim said coldly, "you are under arrest for the murder of Nari Lee, age 8, citizen of Earth." Vorthak tried to maintain his arrogant demeanor. "I followed proper security protocols. The hatchling violated restricted areas and was eliminated as required by law." "She was a little girl," Major Kim replied. "She was curious about your machines. You killed her for being 8 years old." For the first time, Vorthak seemed to realize what he had done. The human soldiers surrounding him weren't just conquering enemies. They were grieving parents and friends who had come to collect a debt paid in a child's blood. But even as the Valerians surrendered their capital city, they activated their final desperate measure. Deep beneath the planet's surface, massive weapons began charging for a planetary bombardment that would kill millions of their own civilians, rather than let humans claim victory. "Sir," Captain Song reported from orbit, "they're activating some kind of planet-killer weapon. They're going to destroy their own world rather than surrender it intact." Admiral Ryu watched the readings with growing fury. Even facing complete defeat, the Valerians were willing to murder millions of their own people out of spite. It was the same casual cruelty that had led them to kill Nari for touching a machine. Fleet Admiral Ryu opened a communication channel to all human forces. "All units, this is Admiral Ryu. The enemy is preparing to commit genocide against their own people rather than accept defeat. This proves what we already knew. They see death as the solution to every problem." He paused, thinking of the little girl whose murder had started this war. Evacuate all human personnel from the planet's surface. Prepare quantum bombardment systems for planetary sterilization. If they want to show us what Valerian strength really means, we'll show them what human justice looks like. The quantum bombardment began 30 minutes later. Human ships in orbit fired weapons that had been enhanced by 2 years of grief and rage into the planet below. The energy beams, powered by humanity's fury over a murdered child, turned the Valerian homeworld into a lifeless wasteland. When the bombardment ended, Valtos Prime was gone. The planet that had been the heart of a galactic empire was now just a dead rock floating in space, its cities reduced to radioactive craters. Admiral Ryu looked at the destruction and felt no satisfaction, only cold determination. Broadcast. This message to all Valerian territories, he ordered. This is what happens when you kill human children. Surrender now, or share your homeworld's fate. 5 years after the death of Nari Li, the galaxy had become a very different place. Emperor Park Jinsu, formerly war leader Kim, stood on the observation deck of Terra Secundus, humanity's new capital world, and watched the ships of the Terran hegemony patrol the space lanes that had once belonged to the Valerian Empire. The Valerian Empire itself no longer existed. Their homeworld was a dead rock. Their colonies had been absorbed into human territory, and their surviving population lived in carefully monitored settlements where they were taught that harming human children was the greatest crime in the galaxy. Your Majesty, Admiral Jo Min-jun said as he approached, the monthly reports from the pacification fleet are ready for your review. Emperor Park took the datapad and scanned through the information. The Terran pacification fleet now consisted of over 3,000 quantum-enhanced warships, each one crewed by humans who had never forgotten why they were fighting. Every ship bore the image of little Nari reaching toward the alien machine, a reminder of the moment that had changed everything. Any problems with the former Valerian territories? The Emperor asked. Minor resistance on 3 worlds, Admiral Jo reported. Nothing our quantum core couldn't handle. The aliens are learning that cooperation is much safer than rebellion. Through the massive windows of his palace, Emperor Park could see the memorial that had been built for Nari. It was a beautiful crystal structure that projected her image into the sky every day at sunset, showing the galaxy what innocence looked like before it was murdered by alien cruelty. Director Kang Hae-jin, head of Galactic Relations, joined them on the observation deck. Her job was to manage humanity's relationships with the remaining alien species, most of whom now competed desperately for Earth's approval and protection. The Centaurian Alliance has requested permission to establish a trade route through the Kepler sector, she reported. They're offering extremely favorable terms. Of course they are, Emperor Park replied. They've seen what happens to species that oppose us. Fear makes everyone much more reasonable. It had taken only 2 years to completely destroy the Valerian Empire, but the effects of that victory continued to reshape galactic politics. Other alien species had watched in terror as humanity's quantum-enhanced forces turned entire star systems into graveyards, all in the name of avenging one murdered child. Captain Nam Dong-hyun, now leader of the Diplomatic Protection Corps, supervised the security for all human civilians traveling in alien space. His soldiers were elite warriors, whose job was to ensure that no human child would ever again die to alien violence. We've received reports of anti-human sentiment on Rigel 4, he told the Emperor. Nothing serious yet, but our agents are monitoring the situation. What kind of sentiment? Emperor Park asked, his voice hardening. Some aliens complaining that humans are too protective of their young, Captain Nam replied. They think our security measures are excessive. The Emperor's expression grew cold. These aliens still didn't understand what they had unleashed when they killed Nari. Deploy a full pacification squadron to Rigel 4. I want every alien on that world to understand that questioning human protective policies is not acceptable. Yes, Your Majesty. Should we broadcast the educational materials? All of them. Make sure they see the footage of Nari's death, and then show them what happened to Valtos Prime. They need to understand the connection between cause and effect. The educational materials were recordings that had been shown to alien populations throughout the galaxy. They began with security footage of 8-year-old Nari being executed by Valerian guards, followed by scenes of the complete destruction of the Valerian homeworld. The message was simple. This is what curiosity looks like, and this is what happens when you kill it. Dr. Bae Yoonji, now Minister of Quantum Sciences, was working on the next generation of human military technology. Her research had evolved far beyond simple weapons. She was now developing systems that could protect human civilians anywhere in the galaxy. The quantum resonance networks are operating perfectly, she reported to the Emperor. Any threat to human children anywhere triggers automatic defensive responses from our nearest patrol fleets. How fast can our forces respond? Emperor Park asked. Average response time is now under 6 hours to any location in our territory, which includes most of the galaxy. Dr. Bae replied with satisfaction. No human child will ever again face what Nari faced. The quantum resonance networks were perhaps humanity's greatest achievement. Using the same technology that had made human weapons incredibly powerful, they had created a galaxy-wide protection system that could detect threats to human civilians and respond with overwhelming force. Admiral Park Si-jun, who now commanded the core defense fleet protecting Earth itself, had mixed feelings about humanity's transformation. They had become incredibly powerful, but they had also become incredibly hard. Sometimes I wonder what Nari would think of what we've become, he said quietly to his old friend General Choi, now retired but still serving as a military advisor. General, Choi looked out at the memorial crystal projecting the little girl's image into the sunset sky. I think she would understand. She was curious about other worlds, other people. She wanted to learn and explore. We're making sure other human children can do what she never got the chance to do, by conquering the galaxy. By making it safe, General Choi corrected. The aliens had thousands of years to create a peaceful galaxy. Instead, they built empires based on fear and cruelty. They killed a curious little girl and expected us to accept it. Now they live in a galaxy where human children are the most protected beings in existence. The conversation was interrupted by an urgent communication from the frontier regions. A new alien species called the Jactari had been discovered near the edge of human space, and their initial contact with human explorers had not gone well. Your Majesty, the communication officer reported, we have a situation. The Jactari attacked a human exploration ship. No casualties, but they destroyed several research probes and made threatening gestures toward our crew. Emperor Park felt the familiar anger rising in his chest. Would these aliens never learn? Were there any human children on the exploration ship? No, sir. The crew was all adult researchers and military personnel. That's fortunate for the Jactari, the Emperor replied coldly. Deploy the expeditionary fleet to their territory. Full pacification protocol. They need to learn the rules of this galaxy before they make a fatal mistake. Captain Oh Jin-woo, who had become one of humanity's top military strategists, was already planning the response. Sir, should we begin with the standard educational broadcast? Show them what happened to species that threatened humans. Yes, but be ready for immediate escalation if they show any signs of aggression toward our people, Emperor Park ordered. I want overwhelming force in position before they even know we're there. The Terran response to the Jactari incident was swift and decisive. Within 48 hours, a massive human fleet appeared in their territory. Quantum-enhanced weapons powered by 5 years of protective fury. The alien species, who had expected to intimidate the small human exploration ship, suddenly found themselves facing the most powerful military force in the galaxy. The educational broadcast began immediately, showing them footage of Nari's death and the complete destruction that followed. To their credit, the Jactari leadership was quick to understand their situation. They sent immediate messages of apology and requests for peaceful negotiation. Their military commanders, who had attacked the human research ship, were turned over to Terran authorities for punishment. Another species learns the lesson, Admiral Joe reported to the Emperor. The Jactari are requesting full diplomatic relations and asking for protection under the Terran hegemony. Emperor Park nodded with satisfaction. Grant their request, but make sure they understand the price of that protection. Absolute respect, for human life, especially our children. As the years passed, the galaxy continued to adapt to its new reality. Dozens of alien species now lived under human protection, their worlds patrolled by Terran fleets and their populations educated about the importance of human welfare. On the 10th anniversary of Nari's death, now observed as Remembrance Day, throughout human space, Admiral Lee Hyun stood before his daughter's memorial with his wife Dr. Park Soo-jin beside him. Both had aged in the years since her death, but their determination had never wavered. She would be 18 now, Dr. Park said quietly, placing flowers at the base of the crystal memorial. She would be graduating, maybe thinking about college. She would be proud of what we've built, Admiral Hyun replied. A galaxy where no human child will ever face what she faced. Around them, representatives from dozens of alien species watched respectfully as humanity remembered the little girl whose death had changed everything. They brought their own flowers and gifts, showing the galaxy their understanding of human loss. Emperor Park delivered the traditional Remembrance Day speech to the assembled crowds and the billions watching throughout human space. 10 years ago they killed our daughter and expected us to accept it as normal. Today, human children are the safest beings in the galaxy, protected by the most powerful military force in history.